Lee Bird, welcome. Great to see you. Great to have this opportunity to catch up and do a customer interview. Thanks for the time. I'd love if just to get us started, please, introduce yourself, your company, and tell us what you guys do over at Btech.
Thanks, Patrick. This is awesome. I am grateful for the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you this morning. So I'm the owner of Btech, and we're the leader in providing IT services for small to mid-sized credit unions. We specialize in IT security and compliance, and we currently work with over 100 credit unions across the country. So it's pretty awesome.
Nice, and that's quite a niche that you've carved out, and I can't imagine there's anybody bigger in your space working with more credit unions than Btech. What got you started in this space, and why credit unions?
It's a journey. It's been a journey, and I've kind of followed the path. I haven't really tried to force my way in different areas. I mean, going back to the beginning, I started selling software in college in 1986. I had a summer job, and I needed to make some money for school, and I killed it that summer, and I made a lot of money, and I never went back to school. And that's kind of sort of that's been the evolution of my life and my journey. It's like I always just sort of look for the path and what takes me where I need to go. And how we ended up where we are now was in 2000, the year 2000. I had a business partner, and we both sort of felt like we needed to go different directions. And I sort of did some reflecting on the business, and I was like, which clients do I enjoy working the most with, and how do I want my business to look and how do I want it to evolve? And the common theme was the credit union clients. We had a few credit union clients, and I said, I'm going to double down on that industry because they're nice people. I love the industry is very collaborative. They support each other. And I thought, I'm not going to focus on businesses that don't sort of feel good when I work with them. And so here we are, 21 years later, and it's been wonderful. It's been a great journey. So I'm very, very happy with what we do.
Nice. And so you mentioned IT security compliance for these credit unions. What does that mean? Like, what are the issues that they're actually having, or what's the opportunity? Like, when Btech comes in, why are they hiring you guys? Like, what is the reason that they're working with you? And what is it all of those three, or what's the main focus? Why are these credit unions working with Btech?
It's a great question. I mean, I think each opportunity or each client has different needs. Sometimes it's just that they're understaffed and they just need IT support. And like any business, there's special or unique characteristics about credit unions, the types of software programs they use, the types of technology that they have implemented. And because we see it and we're experts at it, we can very quickly get up to speed. It's not like we're having to learn manufacturing systems or something that we don't really understand or know. Most of our new clients come to us because there is a security issue or a compliance issue. So credit unions are regulated by either a state or a federal examiner, and they'll do audits. And they basically have, it sounds odd, but it's sort of a checklist of things that they expect the credit union to be doing. And we can very quickly come in and fix any of those gaps or compliance. And then the best part of the relationship is we become that trusted vendor, and we become a partner. It's a partnership. They're not a client. It's a true partnership. And our goal is to sort of always look out for their best interest. And so then we can do the fun part, which is the consulting and advising and helping them secure the environment, provide new services for their members. And that's where the relationship really is rewarding. That's my favorite part about it.
So I love the way you use the term partnership, and so I'm expecting that these are long-term relationships you're building with these credit unions, less probably projects and one-off type of things. What does your client relationship look like? I mean, what's the longest client that you've had? How long do these folks really partner with you guys, and what do those relationships look like?
We have very little turnover. It is, as you pointed out, these are long-term relationships. I think it's sort of a testament to our business. We really try to be fair and honest and take good care of them and provide exceptional service. I mean, these sound like cliches and words that everybody tries to use, but we have clients that have been with us since prior to 2000. I mean, we have long-term clients. I mean, so I have employees that have worked for me for over 25 years. We have clients that have been with us for longer than 25 years. These aren't normal things these days. I mean, I think normally people don't have the attention span or the focus, and they tend to kind of bounce around and jump around. We're in this for the long haul. So one thing that does happen in the credit union industry is sometimes smaller credit unions get merged into larger credit unions. And that's kind of true of any business. And in those cases where that's happened, we have done our best to try to retain the relationship by introducing ourselves maybe to that new credit union, and there have been a couple cases where they both have been clients. And so it's worked out okay.
So when you're working with the credit union, and I know many have some of this, some of these resources internally, whether it be a head of IT or maybe even other partners that they're working with, what is it that when Btech comes in that they were missing or that they needed you for? I mean, is this something where you're replacing their internal staff, you become their team, or it's a co-managed, you're supporting those existing internal resources? So what I'm asking is, where's the gap for them? Is it talent? Is it expertise? Is it both?
All of the above.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrick, it's one of those things. Honestly, pre-COVID, I think unemployment in IT was under 2% nationally. You couldn't hire an IT person if you wanted to. I mean, it was just, especially in some of our larger regional markets, there just weren't people out there. And so we had opportunities where we would get referrals, and it's like, can you call Mary over at XYZ Credit Union? Her IT guy left and she's really in a pickle. She needs help. And so in those situations, we were able to go in, we have the staff, and we basically became their IT department. It's typically, it's more that there's a specific need or requirement, and we go in to fix that need. And then again, that's the start of the relationship. At that point, now there's that partnership, we're that trusted vendor, and we're able to advise. We can sort of consult. By getting into that environment, we're able to learn more about what they're doing, their processes, and make recommendations. And so I would say in most situations, we are supporting an in-house IT department, but I'm kind of seeing, especially with our smaller clients, more of them being open to completely outsourcing everything to us. So that has been one of the biggest areas, especially since the start of COVID. Okay.
And then just as it relates to Lee Bird, kind of going from Btech to Lee Bird, how do you operate? So you've been doing this for 20 years, or a little more than 20 years now. I'm sure you've picked up some habits, some routines, some ways that keep you on track and productive. What are some of the tools in your toolkit that you use to stay on track and to make sure that Btech is reaching its goals and that your clients are successful and that the company, your company, is also successful and on track?
I'm a grinder. I started my first business when I was 9 years old.
What was that business? What were you doing at 9 years old?
Lawn mowing business.
Okay. I
had 6 kids in the neighborhood, and all summer long we would mow lawns. We all bought professional lawnmowers. And then at the time I was living in Virginia, and then in the winter we would shovel snow. I mean, we had a crew. We were the motliest crew you've ever seen. But I love working. I always have. And I think that's, for me personally, that's what motivates me. It's what drives me. Being self-employed, I don't have a safety net. I've never really felt like oh, this job isn't working out, I'm gonna resign and move on. I've always been not afraid, but I've always had that feeling, that motivation, that desire to win. And then, I think probably personally for me, I love bike racing. So I'm a cyclist. And when I was younger, I raced bikes, and then the bicycle left my life for a little while. And then when my children were born and I put on almost 100 pounds of weight, I was like, I got to get back on that bicycle. And so the bicycle for me is that's what motivates me. It's what drives me. And right now the Tour de France is on, and I stay up at night watching the stages, and I get up at 5 a.m. and get on my bike and ride around the neighborhood as fast as I can. And these things parallel my business life. I know that you get out of business what you put into it, and it's hard work. And I think there are people that accidentally invent things and all of a sudden are billionaires. But if you look at every successful person, there's motivation there, and you can't coach that. You can't teach it. You either have it or you don't. I mean, that's my feeling. I think some people need mentorship. I had good mentors in my life, people that said, you probably should take this path, not that path, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, I'm not afraid to say is I'm a grinder. I love working. I love getting in the office early. And if I have to stay late, I'll stay late. That's just what I do.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to almost edit in right now that picture of you 100 pounds heavier and show the before and after. But I understand it is about balance, and they say, how you do one thing is how you do everything, and how you push yourself at work. Doesn't surprise me that you also, cycle and bike and stay active on that front. So you mentioned you've had some mentors throughout your career. What's been some of the great advice that you've gotten, or some of the worst advice? I mean, what's some of the turning points where somebody either gave you the right wisdom, or you learned the right lesson, whether it be your own advice or from somebody else?
There have been quite a few. And the first thing I'll say is you have to listen, and don't make judgments on what people are saying right away. Kind of let it absorb. And sometimes people, those that are closest to you might say things that you seem harmful or seem hurtful. And, sometimes people don't always have the best interest, but often they do. And so, having an open mind and listening to people, listening to friends, listening to relatives, I think that there's some value in that. So, I've had advice from attorneys, advice from accountants, advice from other business leaders. Our banker, when I was young, he used to sit down and take me out to lunch and give me all sorts of advice. But, I've had good mentors in my life, and their advice is typically like, this is what I'm seeing, and I think you need to do this. And sometimes we get stuck in ruts. And having somebody recognize that and say, you know what, why don't you try that? And not being afraid to try something. I tend to use a phrase a lot, and I think we all have heard it. It's paralysis of analysis. My business and my personal life, I'm very flexible. I don't try to, if something isn't working, I don't just keep banging my head against the wall until it works. I pivot and I move on to something else. And, whether it's my personal life or business life. So I think, often when I look back on my life and my business career, especially, there's probably 5 or 6 things that people have said to me, and I listened and I absorbed it. And in all cases, these were probably scary things to think about, but I did it, and looking back on it, it does feel good that, I wasn't afraid to at least try something.
Yeah. I think sometimes I've been in that situation too, where you've got so much going on, so much on your mind, and you use the term a rut, but it's almost like you don't know what to do. You just feel it all. And then by soundboarding, by sharing it with someone else, even if it's just a conversation, I mean, even if they don't share the silver bullet, it gets you out of your head, past the thing, and can help you get your gears going, your momentum back. And yeah, it's great to have those people around you and those folks that you can talk to and build that network. So you said you had a banker that would take you guys to lunch. Is that still happening? Do bankers still do that today?
You know, what's funny is, so when I first started, I was pretty young. You know, I got into software sales in 1986. So I was 20, and I started my business in 1989. So I had worked for that company for 3 years. So I was like 23 years old. And, you know, I remember, this is pre-online banking and all that. Like, you'd walk into the bank with your deposit. And I think that they were, this particular gentleman was older, and I think he probably saw something in us, me and my partner at the time, that he was like, okay, let's figure out who these guys are that opened this account and they're coming in with these checks. And we used to go over there. We used to take the deposits over every day, and it was kind of like our reward. Like, we sort of enjoyed walking into the bank and standing in line and, you know, getting the receipt from the teller. And you know, we built a relationship with, the gentleman's name was Mike, and he, you know, I don't know that he ever gave us wonderful business advice or whatever, but it was sort of fun when, you know, the local banker would kind of signal you when he'd see you at the teller line, and you'd go into his office, you know, and this is those days with the big leather chairs, and, you know, he had a 3-piece suit on and the whole thing. And it was fun to kind of learn from somebody like that. And again, he was a mentor. So we would listen to his advice, you know, and just, my grandfather was a banker. And so maybe I recognized a little bit of that in him. And, but yeah, it was, you know, looking now, everything is, you know, online, and there's really unfortunately, we don't really have much of a relationship with our banker. They're all corporations now, and they don't, you know, a lot of that's gone. But I do remember those days fondly. You know, that was the, you know, I was a young businessman and I was trying to make it happen. So you just did those things.
Yeah. And I feel like there's some nostalgia in that. And I even remember going into our community banks back in the day, and, you know, people being super friendly, and it had a community feel. And I mean, I know that still exists in some places, in some pockets. And the first place I think is credit unions, because credit unions are the community bank. Which, just to go back around to the credit unions for a second, you know, you're at this point, you're the whale, right? You're the big fish in terms of like working with credit unions on IT security and compliance. It would take someone a long time to catch up to Btech in terms of working with as many credit unions, building such a brand, having all those relationships. But if somebody were to start out today, if Lee Bird were to start again 2021 from zero, from scratch, what would your advice to yourself be, or to somebody else, if they were to start today and working with credit unions and helping them solve these problems?
You know what? I think about this a lot. I have 2 boys that are in their mid-20s, and they're both hard workers. And honestly, I'm going to sound like an old guy. It's hard work, whatever you do. You have to be focused and dedicated. It's like, I think so many things come easily to us nowadays. You know, if you don't know the answer to a question, you just Google it, and then, you know, 9 seconds, you have your answer. If you want a dinner reservation and it's Friday night, you just go onto an app and you make the dinner reservation. You know, these are wonderful things. There's nothing wrong with any of this, but I think that often we forget, you know, a lot of things still require hard work. Relationships, you know, like I see this with a lot of our friends and stuff. They don't put in the time and effort to continue to nurture their relationship, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship. So I think if I gave Lee Bird advice, and Lee Bird was starting a company this year, I would basically, first and foremost, I would tell Lee, it's a lot harder than you think it is, and just be ready, and you know, tighten the belt and work hard. And the second thing I think is focus, and not try to get too broad in what you do. Like some people have said, you know, you guys are really excellent at what you do. Why don't you just do this for every business out there? And we could, and that would probably work, but we're really, really good at what we do. And we're not, and I know, you know, in some industries, especially, you know, again, what we saw with COVID, it could really harm your business, and you'd have to pivot and look for other industries. But but having a focus and saying, I'm going to be the best at doing this, this specific thing, not getting too scattered. And that I see that sometimes. I see businesses that try to do too many things. Be excellent at one thing. Like I think you can make a career out of that. So that would be my advice to 20-year-old Lee Bird. I would probably tell him first and foremost, it's going to be hard. So get ready.
Yeah, no, it's sound advice. And I think even with or without it, to your point around everyone's got this instant gratification today where everything's at your fingertips. I think some people forget how to put in the work, right? They don't go, I don't know the saying, but like you almost want to go for the pain. You want to go for where the need is. Like if you need to, if you're not sure if you've created the value or if you've built the relationship, then that's where you need to go where it's hard, right? That's where the magic happens. You can't just sit back and assume that everything's gonna come to you like so many other things in life. But yeah, it's definitely sound advice. And then of course you can't have a business, can't grow a business if you're not selling and bringing in new customers. So what's your sales advice? What has made it so you could get to these 100+ credit unions, and what would be kind of one piece of sales advice or one lesson that you learned that's helped you grow Btech?
Responsiveness, communication. I get so frustrated with vendors that don't reply to emails, and I'm not saying in minutes or a couple days. There are people that just go dark. I'm like, how does that person stay in business? I will say one thing that we do exceptionally well, all of our employees here, is we're really, really good communicators. And that's all people want. Just let me know that you heard me, and respond to me and say, I'm working on this, and stay in communication. When our clients create service tickets, we have people on staff that are monitoring these tickets as they come in, and we respond. So they get an automated email that says, we've received your ticket, but then a live person responds and says, I think the next engineer is going to be available to help you in about 5 minutes. How's your day going? Like just stuff like that. That's all people want, is communication. So, I think that is such an incredible trait that I often see missing now. I think, and we have all the tools and technology. If you can't stay in touch with people, there's something wrong. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, that's great advice for sales, customer relationships, all of it, right? And people just want to know that you heard them, that you're on it, that there's no excuse for hiding behind the computer. And I, even with my team and for myself personally, I'm like, pick up the phone, phone, just give them a call, let them know that you're on it, ask the question on the phone, give them, people like it when you're in front of the issue, not hiding behind it or whatever the thing is.
And probably tied for first would be honest, be fair. Like it's if people don't have a need, don't try to sell them. I get people that keep calling me and I'm like, I'm honest with you. I told you that's not something I need. Maybe check in with me next year. Maybe I will need it. But honestly, it's being honest and being fair and being trustworthy. It's your character. It's who you are. And I do believe, especially in the industry I'm at, that there's a lot of communication about me that I don't know. And I'm hoping, and I believe it's mostly positive, but it's true of any, your circle of friends, your community, your clients, your coworkers, all these people, they're probably talking about you. Like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be that guy that is kind of a jerk and doesn't, and is a cheater? No, you don't want to be that guy. You want to be the person that people look up to, that has character, that they say, wow, this guy's, I want to kind of be like him someday. So I think, people, that's what our clients expect. I probably sound like Captain Obvious, but these are things that you just have to do. It is, work hard, be honest, be fair.
I think that the most successful people, the smartest people, the most experienced, they often are the ones who've got those fundamentals down. It's not some magic trick. It's not some, thing that they know that you have to go out, and it's because they've got the basics, they have strong fundamentals like honesty, communication, all of that. And to your point, when you're saying around what people are saying about you, your reputation precedes you. Oftentimes, even if they don't know Lee Bird, they may know his reputation, or they may know the Btech reputation, and they'll know the one thing they heard, whatever that one thing was. And so, yeah, your reputation precedes you. So Lee, we're coming out of COVID. The world's getting back to normal. You've had a long run with Btech, and I'm sure it's not over anytime soon. But what's next? What's on the horizon? What are some of the things that you're looking to do, this year and in the future?
We're in a really good place right now. So one thing that happened right before COVID is we moved into a new office space. And that was sort of a rebirth also at that time. We spent a lot of money remodeling the environment, making it warm and friendly for all of our employees to work in. We did a lot of hiring. We had some pretty good growth leading right up to that. And then all of our employees started working at home. I kept coming in. So I'm in an office that I can close my door. But here in California, we were kind of locked down. And so I was in a big office space every day by myself, or sometimes our controller would come in and she was in her office, and I'd eat my salad here at my desk. And I was just dreaming for this day. I was like, I can't wait, to start seeing the employees back in the office. We really do thrive off of just being around each other. Now, so going back, and what was the positive that came out of COVID? We built an incredibly strong team. We started by doing morning calls on Zoom, and our controller, she's very clever, and she came up with this question of the day. And these sometimes were like, what's your favorite ice cream? And sometimes they were like, who's your favorite superhero? They were sometimes silly questions. Sometimes they were like, what are your personal goals? And very personal. But what we did over this last 16 months or 16 months, I guess it's been, is we built an incredibly strong team. Everybody knows each other, and we know those things. And, some people kind of opened up and got more, people that we didn't really know who they were because they were always sort of guarded. We at least learned that they like vanilla ice cream, not strawberry ice cream. But then you start building this team. So where we're at right now, Btech, first and foremost, we have an incredibly strong team. We got great employees. Financially, we're very, very strong. We're very stable. And the types of services we do, we don't have to invest a lot of infrastructure and money to have good growth. And so we're growing, and we're just going to do stable growth. And that's what I want to do. My dad retired last year when he was 82. I'm not looking to get out of work anytime soon. I love what I do. I love coming into my office. I feel like we have all the foundation in place. I think sometimes it's hard to want to grow a business if you don't have the staff, or you don't have the office, or if you don't have the funding, the money, or whatever. All those things are in place. It's really, just continuing to leverage and do what we really do well, which is maintain those existing relationships. Don't forget about those people. And then our goal internally is one new client a month. That's it. And sounds like a lot. Maybe some people say that doesn't sound like enough, but we're just looking for steady growth. That's what we want to do.
Nice.
That's what we are doing. So.
I love that tip. I wish I had picked that up halfway or the beginning of COVID around just having those kind of lighthearted fun. We've done our own thing our own way, but I've hired 10 people since the pandemic began, and I mean I could still use some of that flavor and getting to know them a little bit more personally, and that's very sound advice, and good on you guys for making that part of how you went through the pandemic. So how can folks get in touch with Lee Bird? What's the best way to get a hold of you and Btech?
The best way is email, probably leebird@btechonline.com. Btech Online is our website. And I'm also on LinkedIn. Lee Bird, and BIRD. And I try to do a lot of posting on LinkedIn. Obviously, it's more focused on credit unions and IT security, but I try to do some fun videos and stuff. So we also have a YouTube channel. Check that out. Yeah, if you Google Btech credit unions, will come up. It's B as in boy, TECH, and it's all one word, Btech.
Cool. Well, Lee, thank you so much for the time, for the conversation, and wishing you guys the best.
Thanks, Patrick. This was fun. I enjoyed this a lot. It was really good. Thank you very much for doing this.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.
All right. See you.